All right, we're back. This is Rage in a Cage. I'm your host, Frank BamBam Horak. And with me, as always, my co host with all his teeth in his mouth, Mikey Schwaggs.
Hey Frank, how's it going? And with us as always, our producer, not making any sense when he talks, Tough Tony.
Hey, what's going on there, guys? We got a lot of MMA coming up in the next segment. Let's get right into it.
Yes, let's get right into it. He actually did it.
I'm impressed.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, we got a lot more MMA stuff actually to talk about. A couple more matches that got made.
But in other news, Rampage. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Rampage Jackson has been blowing up Twitter apparently in this past week, posting tweets saying he's pretty much fed up and done with the UFC.
Yeah, not happy with the UFC. He's got one fight left on his contract, and then he's going to take. He still wants to fight. He's going to fight other promotions, he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? I don't think it's really a big loss for the UFC personally. I mean, the light heavyweight division is a little weak, but Rampage. I mean, look with his last couple of fights. He's not the same dominant guy that he's been. So
No, and
No.
to Rampage's credit, he's got a problem with UFC matchmaker Joe Silva apparently.
yeah, he does. And well, listen, for his last fight, I know he wants to fight Shogun. I personally don't think he deserves to fight Shogun for his last fight. I know he wants to avenge that loss in pride. But if it is going to be his last UFC
I think you
fight,
should give it to him.
I don't think he deserves it. I don't think he should fight him personally because I don't
Who
think that
would
does
you give
nothing.
him?
That
Who
does
would you give
nothing
him
for
in a light
Shogun.
heavyweight for his last fight?
Well, for his last fight, I was thinking maybe someone he hasn't fought before, like a Phil Davis, possibly,
I don't know.
or possibly even the loser
He
of
said-
Gustafsson.
He was light
Thiago
heavyweight
Silva.
champion
Yeah,
at one point.
but
took
he
it away
said-
from Chuck.
He
took it
said
away
he
from
doesn't.
Chuck.
He's tired of being matched up with these elite wrestlers. He wants to face a striker who's going to stand there and strike with him for 3 rounds.
Well, that's why I like the
He's
loser of Gustafsson Silva.
Yeah, I like that too, actually. But everybody wants to see that rematch with Shogun, regardless of. It doesn't matter if Shogun, he's higher up in the ranks or whatever. Who cares? I understand that it's a lose-lose for Shogun.
It is, and I just don't think it will be that great of a fight because the guy he comes in overweight now. He doesn't look like he just has that same enthusiasm that he did when he first came back into the UFC.
Well,
It's been all downhill since the 18 movie.
That's what I was like. We said, like
Yeah.
we previously said, since he's gone Hollywood,
Yeah.
put that in quotations. Since he's gone Hollywood, he hasn't been the same fighter, and you can see, maybe he doesn't take his training as seriously as he does, but it looks like he, fighting is more taking a back
Yeah, absolutely.
to his
Which,
lifestyle.
listen, he's been in plenty of fights. If he wants to do other things, more power to him. I have no problem with it. But I just don't think his past performances, I don't think he should be rewarded with the fight he wants. He wants to fight a striker, that's fine by me. Give him a striker. Like I said, the loser of Gustafsson Silva. There's plenty of other strikers you could give him.
Yeah,
I just don't think he should get the fight that he wants, especially the way he's been going about things and all that stuff. He's kind of been bad-mouthed in the UFC of lately.
yeah, he
So I
has
don't
been.
think why should he get his way is all I'm
He's
saying.
been acting a bit like a baby.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
could say.
He wants a striker, fine by me. Give him a striker. But it
It's
shouldn't
not
be the
the
striker
first
that he
time either
wants.
he's opened his mouth and said things.
No, yeah, this has been Rampage's whole career.
Mhm.
He's always been controversial with everything like that. Let's get into another Strikeforce champion, Gilbert Melendez, lightweight champ.
Yep.
He's been slated to fight on May 19th.
No opponent.
Yet he has no opponent.
Strike force for you. That's why.
That is Strikeforce for you. So, supposedly his camp is looking into an opponent, and who they want is either BJ Penn or Anthony Pettis.
Well, Anthony Pettis makes zero sense to me. I don't know why Pettis would go to the Strike Force. He's one of the top UFC contenders. You're talking about possibly him fighting Henderson for the title before the Edgar the rematch got made. I don't think Pettis should do anything with Strike Force. I would like Melendez to come to the UFC and fight, but I don't think Pettis should go. Say Pettis goes to Strike Force and beats Melendez, then now he's stuck in Strike Force with the title.
Not necessarily, because this fight would be in May 19th. We got the rematch for Henderson-Edgar set up for somewhere around the summer. Say Pettis does go to Strikeforce. Regardless of whoever wins that match. The winner of that match could face the winner of Henderson-Edgar, unify the titles.
All right, well, there hasn't been any talk of that, though. They want to keep Strikeforce a separate entity, keep Strikeforce going. The only thing they're getting rid of is the heavyweight division. As you see, Bigfoot Silva's now in there with Verdum and Overeem. After that heavyweight tournament's gone, the UFC is absorbing that heavyweights. But as far as, at least what they've been saying is they're keeping Strikeforce is going to be a separate entity. It's still going to exist, and you're going to have the lightweight division there. So that doesn't really make all that sense.
Now talking
bringing
about
Melendez into the UFC makes sense, but not unifying the title if you want to keep it a separate entity.
Yeah. Now talking about you saying with this heavyweight tournament for Strikeforce when it ends. Now Barnett and Cormier were supposedly fighting for the Strikeforce title, weren't they?
Supposedly, but that was, again, this tournament started before the UFC bought Strikeforce. And
Yeah.
once the UFC bought Strikeforce, they were saying that they would take the heavyweight division in Strikeforce, they were getting rid of. But everything that was being kept a separate entity and everything else was staying the same. Now, obviously, we've seen the UFC try to bring some other Strikeforce fighters into the UFC, like Nick Diaz.
Yep.
But as far as I'm concerned, they're keeping it separate, so I don't think, you shouldn't unify the title then. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, but I'm saying with Barnett and Cormier, they're fighting for basically... I don't know. I don't even know what they're fighting for now. If they're not fighting for a title, they're fighting for the, I guess, heavyweight Grand Prix championship.
Well, now I think basically,
If they win, whoever wins that, do they get a shot at
I think
the
that's
title
how,
in the UFC?
Personally, I think that at the very least, then they should be fighting in a number one contender fight after that. But
Yeah.
they very well could be getting a title shot.
Like, I guess, if Barnett wins, I'm sure, regardless, whoever wins that, they're both coming over.
I would think so. Yeah, I would absolutely think so. And I think whoever does win should at least, at the very least, get a number one title fight.
Yeah, because then I don't even see the point of finishing this.
But again,
tournament.
I know it's ridiculous now. But again, when the tournament did start, though, UFC had nothing to do with Strikeforce. Now that they bought them,
the tournament dragged on so long.
Yeah, the injury and everything, it has dragged on way too long. So we'll see what happens. But as far as Melendez's next opponent goes, I mean, like we discussed on the last show,
I don't think BJ Penn's gonna happen.
That he's,
I thought he was
his last fight,
retiring.
he's saying he was retiring. I can't see him now going back to lightweight and fighting Strikeforce. I don't see that happening either. It looks like it'll either be Josh Thompson or Pat Healy. Would be the two as far as on the Strikeforce
those
roster makes the most sense.
Yeah, they do make the most sense.
I know the camp, I mean, it's not because it's not a big draw. Maybe they obviously Melendez Pettis, you'd certainly get a much bigger draw, more interest in the fight.
Yeah.
But if you're going to keep, as they keep saying, keep it separate, which, I mean, I'm all for not keeping it separate, having guys cross over,
yeah, why
fight
not?
each other. I'm all for it 100%, but I'm just going by, so far, what they've said. Dana White's been pretty insistent that they're keeping it separate. Obviously, he's taking all their good guys from Strikeforce, basically, and bringing it into the UFC, but they've been basically saying they're keeping it separate. So if that is the case, then a Pettis Melendez doesn't make sense then.
I just don't see how Strikeforce is going to last with, like, what do they have? What do they have left? They have the women's bantamweight division.
You got that. They got the welterweight.
They got the
now
welterweight.
With, Nate Marquardt now's in it, so that'll bring.
But Nate Marquardt and Tyrone Woodley are like the only two fighters in that division.
Basically.
And Tarek Safadine.
And who's the fighter?
What's his name?
Beat Daly.
What the heck is his name? The
fighter.
Japanese guy. I can't remember. Misaki?
That sounds about right.
Masaki, I think.
Japanese.
I think it was right.
It flew out again.
Flew out again.
Talking about Japanese fighters.
Talking about Japanese fighters, my tooth flies out.
Right.
I can't help it. It's just gonna stay out for the rest of the show because I don't want it to fly out anymore.
So anyway,
my God.
Let's move it on. Let's talk about another fight that just a fill-in, which I actually think is gonna be a much better fight now.
Yes, it should be a better
Nog
fight.
got hurt. Thiago Silva steps in, fighting Alexander Gustafsson.
It's a much tougher fight for Gustafsson, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I think so too, and I think it's just a better all-around fight. You look at these both these guys have great stand-up. Both are aggressive. Both have can finish guys. I mean, Little Nog. I personally like him. I think he's a good fighter, but I think this, though, on paper at least, is going to be. Looks like it's going to be a much better fight.
Oh, absolutely, it's going to be a much better fight.
I mean, look, Thiago Silva was right up there when he fought Machida. Basically, that was like, even though they didn't say it, it was basically a number one contender fight. Machida beat him. But now Silva's, he's had some problems, a little injuries, a little steroid issues.
Yeah.
But now he's back, and I think this is going to be a great fight.
Yeah, he was originally.
I don't see this guy going to a decision.
No, absolutely not. Silva was originally scheduled to face Brandon Vera, who was looking for a little bounce back rematch after he broke his nose.
Dominated that fight, but again, he also tested positive.
That was gross. Do you remember Brandon Vera's nose after that fight?
It was mangled.
Ugh.
Disgusting. So actually, I wasn't really looking forward to that rematch because I thought it was going to be pretty much along the lines of the same thing.
Yeah.
This fight, though, I think it's going to be.
I'm really looking forward to this fight. This has definitely got potential to be fight of the night.
Absolutely.
Maybe fight of the year.
Huge fight in the light heavyweight division.
Oh, absolutely. Gustafsson he's been rising in that light heavyweight division. And
the loss was to who? Phil Davis. I mean, that's nothing really to.
I would actually, if he wins this fight, I would actually like to see a rematch with him against Phil Davis. To be honest,
make a case for it if he wins impressively. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be a great rematch. So, what else do you got, Frank? We got Gustafsson Silva.
Well, I'm glad because now we have a little more time. I want to talk a little bit more about the Henderson Edgar. We kind of had a rough.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, I would like to talk about that more.
Do you think it was the right decision?
No.
Who do you think
should
be fighting Henderson?
I thought Pettis should be fighting him.
Pettis. I thought it was a little. I think Edgar. I mean, you look. He gave immediate rematches to Maynard and Penn. It was a close fight.
Here's the only problem I have with this. with Edgar getting this rematch. Now say Edgar beats Henderson. Does Henderson get an automatic rematch now too?
Well, it all depends on the fight. Like
I know,
last
but
time Edgar, the last Edgar Maynard fight, it was a decisive
Yes.
win. So obviously, who knows with this one? I doubt. I mean, again, it wouldn't be fair to Henderson. But say Edgar beats him, kind of in the way Henderson beat Edgar, where it was a close fight.
yeah.
I think Henderson will have to fight one fight.
See why?
I know it
That's
doesn't
not.
exist
That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
But again, you look at Edgar though. It wasn't like Edgar just had the belt one time and then
Yeah.
lost it to Henderson. Again, if this is you flip it around, Henderson loses, then you're not a true champion until you defend your title, until you win it. So it makes sense then if Henderson didn't get an immediate rematch because he hadn't defended against anybody. You look at Edgar. He beat Penn. He beat Maynard. So he beat a couple of guys.
He beat the same two guys.
But listen, Gray Maynard and BJ Penn are
Yeah, I'm not saying
guys. So
I'm not saying they're no slouches or anything, but you can
it's a stacked division. It'll be
That's what I'm
interesting to
saying.
see. I don't have a
you
problem
can have
though
all
with
these
the rematch.
contenders sitting on the shelf for months and months because you got rematch after rematch.
Well, again, I don't think it'll happen too much because I think again, though, pretty much the winner Miller or Diaz now will be the number one contender, waiting for the Edgar.
I'm just saying,
Henderson fight.
if by some chance Edgar wins this fight by close split decision.
I don't think it'll matter just because the fact that Henderson hasn't defended the title yet. I think, listen, it's tough because it's just such a stacked division. Again, I both would have liked to see Edgar go to featherweight and fight Aldo.
I know
but he wants to stay at lightweight. Can't blame him for it. He's a tough guy. He wants to stay. Even though he's the smallest guy, he could care less. He wants to keep fighting.
Yeah,
he
he's
thinks
a fighter.
he could beat Ben Henderson, so he gets him. I think he deserves another shot to see if he can prove a fight. Again, now if he loses to Henderson, I think you will see him go to featherweight.
Oh, absolutely, he's moving down to featherweight if he loses this. If he loses his next match against Henderson.
But I think he's gonna usually when you see Frankie Edgar fight, he's usually better than his last fight. So I see him going into this fight, learning his mistakes from
Oh,
Henderson.
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
he's gonna be better, and it's gonna be a good fight. I think it's gonna be a great fight. I think Pettis Henderson the rematch with that would have been great too. I like to see Pettis fight another top guy before he gets that.
Well, we might see him fight the winner of Miller Diaz.
It's possible. You got to remember, injuries are part of the sport.
Yeah.
So at least it's good now. Say if Henderson or Edgar gets hurt,
We got Pettis as a
step
fill-in.
right in. Same thing with the Miller Diaz. The guy goes down. Pettis can step in for that too. It's not like he took any damage.
No,
in the Joel Lozon fight. He's ready. I'm sure he's ready to fight again. So
definitely sure he wants to fight
he's
right
ready
away.
to step right in, either number one contender fight or he's ready to step in for a title fight.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that
I understand your point.
I know. I just think the
but-
lightweight division could be, trapped under these rematches for God knows how long.
Again, I don't just like
That's
I said,
how it was the past 2 years with
It was.
Maynard
When you
and
look
Penn.
at it, though, it was PJ Ben had dominated the lightweight division again. So obviously, a lot of people called Edgar's win a fluke. So you had to have that match again.
Yeah.
Then when you look at the Edgar Maynard, that was just
The draw.
one of the but it wasn't just a draw.
Yeah, that was one of the best fights I think in
ever,
history.
really. So you had to give that a rematch again.
Yeah, that's true.
So I understand why Edgar got this rematch, and then I understand your point, but I just thought I can't. It's very hard for me to see it going again because again, Henderson hasn't had the fights that Edgar's had. He hasn't had a chance to defend it yet. It's going to be a great fight again too. So I'm sure if Edgar does beat Henderson, it's going to be a close fight again where Henderson might be calling for a rematch, but I don't see it happening because there's just too many talented guys on top of that.
Yeah, that lightweight division is stacked. We're going to have to wrap this segment up.
All right,
We're
so
running
we're
out of
done with our
time.
MMA talk. Now
That's
we'll come back.
all
We got some
MMA.
college basketball and NFL.
March
free agency.
Madness, Frank! March
It's
Madness!
going to fall out again.
Ha! No, it's not. It's still in. Look at it. It's right there.
That's gross. All right, let's stop this.